All right, guys, here's a map of where I think the biggest severe risk will be today, Memorial Day, not just up and down the East Coast, but there's a highlighted area. You notice it from Pennsylvania down into North Carolina, because I think that's where we have the highest risk for seeing a few tornadoes, especially this afternoon and this evening. Well, I hope you're having a great Memorial Day. We've had a lot of storms over the last couple of days, but check this out. This is a video that I shot yesterday afternoon. Big storm rolling through our front porch. This storm downed trees. It was part of a squall line that moved through many areas of the East Coast yesterday, and unfortunately absolutely decimated our flag here that we had out just in time for Memorial Day. Wasn't so bad for us. A lot of others folks not faring so well. Let me know down below. I always love hearing from you guys how things are going. Did you get any storm damage, any storm reports? It's been a wild couple of days, and things will start to calm down, especially after today and a little bit of tomorrow. Let's start off with the risk. This is the main threat from the Storm Prediction Center, the newest outlook from them. A slight risk of storms. That's a 2 on a scale of 5. It's not a 0. These storms may be not as strong as what we've seen over the last couple of days, but still a significant risk of that from basically the Canadian border all the way south into the deep south. And I would argue even parts of southeast Canada could see some strong storms with this as well. Tornadoes on the table today, especially here into the mid-Atlantic. So from Pennsylvania south, especially into eastern Pennsylvania, so Philadelphia, down into parts of Maryland, D.C. in that, a lot of Delaware, and then into the Tidewater area of Virginia. It does include Richmond, all the way out to the beach. Maybe not quite as strong, but either way, I think it's close enough that you got to keep an eye on these storms. And then down into the Tidewater areas of North Carolina, even back into the Piedmont of North Carolina and Virginia, we could get some strong storms that produce tornadoes this afternoon. And across Texas this afternoon, some storms could fire up, and those could produce a few tornadoes with some big hail too. Tomorrow's risk across Texas, though, definitely increasing. And then as we move into Wednesday, the threat moves here into the northern plains, also down to the parts of Colorado, and with more storms back across West Texas. So let's talk about what's going on here across the east first. We've got a lot of low-level wind shear starting to pick up. These are your surface winds, kind of coming out of the southwest to south here across parts of Maryland and Pennsylvania. That's pulling in a lot of moisture. And notice these winds here out of the south and southwest. Once you go up into the atmosphere, 15, 20,000 feet, your winds are coming in more out of the west. So you've got that wind shear component here, especially across southeast Virginia, the Tidewater area of North Carolina, and the Piedmont, again, of both of these states. And then even up here into parts of Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, there could be a few tornadoes because that risk is highest right here. So be weather aware today. Just have a way to get warnings when and if they come out from this afternoon. Significant tornado parameter. I don't look at this a lot, but it's interesting to see that these storms that fire will be in an environment that has the potential to produce tornadoes. This parameter takes factors into mind like helicity, that's your spin in the atmosphere, your instability. Anything over 1 is significant. You got to watch. And again, right here in the southeast Virginia, North Carolina, especially into the afternoon and evening hours for tornadoes, that's the highest risk area. And then things calm down somewhat overnight. All right, let's look at the radars we head through the day. Once we get, say, past noon or so, you start to get that instability. There's going to be some convective inhibition happening, and that may put a cap on things for a while, but eventually that will be overcome by the buoyancy that starts to develop with the afternoon heating. Big storms, though, going once we move into the afternoon hours here across southern parts of Ontario, north of Lake Ontario. And I'm going to back it up just a little bit because these storms back here across Pennsylvania could get strong too, and even into western New York. This system moves off to the east, and we have a bit of a front here. We've got outflow boundaries, a very messy situation. So placement of these storms really is going to be tough, so don't get hung up on exactly where these cells form, but look at the idea of these cells forming here into the mid-Atlantic as we head into the afternoon and down into the deep south too, say around Macon, back across southern parts of Alabama. Even the panhandle of Florida could see some strong storms. Big storms going now here across the east coast of Virginia, and then over into the Delmarva. These storms could be strong as we move through the dinner time hour, and then into New Jersey, New York City. Big thunderstorms rolling through this evening, and then into the northeast. A lot of this really not severe. I think the cutoff line is kind of right in here as we move into the northeast. Things not quite as strong. Storm Prediction Center also looking at that too, with their risk cutoff right here with some general thunderstorms here. And some of these storms too, up across Iowa and parts of Illinois, could get a little strong today. Certainly nothing like what we've seen though in these areas over the last couple of days. And to be honest with you, really the last couple of weeks. Speaking of that, let's back up and move across the plains states here. Those storms moving through today, mainly this evening. Some instability here and across Texas. Again, some of these could fire here into East Texas, Central Texas with some large hail and even a few tornadoes. But tomorrow is the big severe weather day across Texas anyway. We've got this first round moving into Louisiana, but into the afternoon, West Texas, the storms fire up, even into parts of southeast Colorado, into parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. These move east, so Dallas, some big storms that looks like are on the way heading into tomorrow night. A scorcher across Texas today, triple-digit heat in many areas, excessive heat warnings out. We've also got heat advisories. You can get those at weather.gov. A little cooler around the Great Lakes with more cloud cover, and we're going to stay cool here too. In fact, look, by Thursday morning, we could see temperatures close to 40 up and around the Great Lakes, and a lot of widespread 40s too. So some chilly air on the way as this upper low kind of spins through in this trough. A couple of pockets of cold air moving through over the next week or so. Now, across the Central Plains, here's some ridging building, so there's your break that we're seeing. Our next storm already taking shape here across the Pacific Northwest. That could bring some rain and snow showers to the mountains, and then this might be our next severe weather event, and it looks like it's going to be much further to the north. We're talking about maybe as far south as Nebraska, but really up into the Dakotas, potentially parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba as this moves across, mostly across Canada. But we might see some storms too up across the northern Great Lakes, up through parts of Minnesota, and then eventually Wisconsin and Michigan. That will be something to watch. We've still got some time to iron that out over the next couple of days. And then across the west, as we head into next week, it's going to get hot. Triple-digit heat developing here across the far southwest. As we see in the upper levels, a decent ridge of high pressure starting to build here. Summertime look here. You're starting to see that happen as the seasons change. And then in the next week, this could be another severe weather maker. I don't think we're done with the severe weather as we head into June. Statistically, you still see severe weather all the way into June in many areas, and in fact, you start to get a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and flooding starts to become a concern as we head into June and July, especially flash flooding. So a lot going on. If you made it this far into the video, I hope that means you enjoyed it. I hope it's helpful. If you've not subscribed, you may be coming back. You've maybe not taken the plunge and said, I don't know about this guy. I hope you will. And I do appreciate everybody who has done so over the last couple of weeks. If you want to help the channel out, that does greatly. I'll see you next time.